My name is Gianpaolo Ferzacci. I'm with Chase Office Interiors, and I'm an account executive. And we welcome everybody to our webinar today. Today's topic is, I think, a really hot topic and of great interest to everybody: biophilic design, nature in the workplace. This is an CEU accredited webinar. If you have a sign up, given us your IDCEC number, we will process your credit within the next 5 business days. Presentation will be at 45 minutes, and afterwards we'll take 10 minutes for questions. Please send your questions into the chat. We love to see them. If you have comments, all good, because obviously with a webinar, we have to stick to a script. But at the question period, you can ask all sorts of questions, so that hopefully will enrich the experience and the presentation. We are recording this webinar. You probably just heard that, and we will make it available within 72 hours on our website at chaseoffice.ca/events. You do need to ask us to access that, so by all means, if you want to review the presentation again, let us know, and we'll give you access to that. I normally ask you to register for our next webinar. We tentatively are looking at one actually within 2 weeks on the 16th, but we don't have confirmation yet. So that's going to be announced at a later date. You will see it on our website, and obviously we usually send also the invites. So today our guest speaker is Greg Cook. He is the owner of Infocus Interiors Group, representing manufacturers of commercial interiors since 1996, specializing in furniture and in flooring. The team at Infocus has built a brand of being responsive, client-focused, and representing high-quality products. The Magnuson Group has been part of Infocus for over 15 years and specializes in ancillary products, which complements the office space. I am going to hand everything over now to Greg. It's his show, so take it away.
Perfect. Okay, thanks, Gianpaolo. And thanks everyone for attending today's sessions. I try to usually make it light. I am a father of 3, and I am really good at dad jokes, so I'll apologize ahead of time. As you see on the screen, this is an interactive one, and if we're doing it in person, I'm usually picking on people, but I actually have done this with Chase a couple years ago, and they introduced me to Mentimeter, which is a great interactive tool to use. So if you haven't done so already and you got your phone or your iPad, just go to menti.com and type in this code, and then this presentation will follow along. And whenever there's a question, there'll be an opportunity for you to put your answers in, and then those answers will pop up. It's a lot better way to promote involvement, because it eliminates the whole shyness aspect. So feel free to just type away when questions are asked. And then like Gianpaolo said, is put your questions in the chat if that's possible, or save them to the end and we can deal with it all then. And like you said, my name is Greg Cook with Infocus. We're a second generation family owned business. Our topic today is going to be on biophilia and biophilic design. I would like to consider myself an advocate for this topic, but I'm definitely not an expert. So I will do my best to answer any of the questions that you have at the end. If not, I will for sure be able to get back to you. The question that this presentation answers is pretty simple, which is, why should we incorporate nature into the places we live, work, and play? But in this case, we're going to especially focus on work. So again, thanks for coming. And I hope you find this both productive and interesting. Oh, why doesn't my screen want to move? There we go. Okay, so we partnered with and co-developed this CEU with MIST, which is a consulting firm in Chicago. which supports healthy and high performance buildings, campuses, and cities through design, strategic planning, and education. I just want to make a correction here. Oh, and also note that you can self-report. I believe you can use this to self-report if you're looking for a WELL accreditation. I do need to make a correction on this, and I'm going to leave this here for a couple seconds. The class code, I noticed at the last minute I didn't have it correct. Instead of the last digits being 1024, the last 4 digits are 1018. So if you just want to make a note of this, if you're looking for your ID, if you have an IDCEC and you gave that to Chase, you don't need to self-report. I'm going to handle that for you. So just if you do need to self-report for WELL or anything else, just use that course code. So what are our learning objectives today? We want to go over some basic concepts of biophilia. I want to show you some of the growing body of evidence of science-based evidence that we have. Talk about some ways to develop a financial return and return on investment with biophilic design, and then just some practical strategies as well. This might be one of the most important slides that I'm going to show you today, and kind of puts it all into perspective. And so if you see the very top there, if man's time on Earth was compressed into 24 hours, we've lived in modern cities for less than 2 minutes. So this kind of biophilic or biophilic design, it's not a new idea. It presents the important foundation and contents for this topic. You know, humans have lived in the natural world for hundreds of thousands of years. We've carried this evolutionary imprint in us at a subconscious level. And so we're just wired this way to be around nature. You know, physically and mentally, we feel and perform best when we're surrounded by nature. The world is urbanizing quickly. I think currently 54% of the world's population live in an urban setting. They say by the year 2030, that'll be 60%. So it's imperative that we consider how human nature connection can still be provided to those residing in towns and cities. Oh, I just froze a bit there. Okay, so introduction to biophilic design. And many of you now may be familiar with this as it's been becoming more of a hot topic, but if you're not, you know, what is it and how do we use it? So here's my first question to you is take a moment and think, where's the most relaxing place you've ever been? And you can enter that into your cell phone or your laptop or your iPad, sorry. Oh, sorry, here we go. Around nature, Hawaii, on vacation, hiking in the woods, all good answers. A lot of beach. So I will tell you of the number of times that that I've done this CEU. Easily 90% of these answers are going to be somewhere outdoor, if not higher. So then the next question I have is, why do you find these places relaxing? It's a long, I guess it's a longer answer. Oh. So yeah, there you go. Fresh air, surrounded by nature. I'm not sure who wrote green on the screen, but I have a feeling that's going to stay there if it can't be taken off. But exactly, usually you're thinking about a place that's stress-free or that's calm. that's kind of away from the normal rat race that we're in. And so all of these are like, you know, fresh air, interaction with nature. They all are great answers. So I thought I'd throw in a picture of mine. This is Black Sand Beach in Maui. Probably one of the more relaxing places I've been to, with the lush green space, you know, ocean waves. Off to the distance in the left are some pretty amazing blowholes and what have you. So an extremely relaxing place. You know, when you look at the word biophilia, bio meaning life and philia meaning having an affinity for, it really comes down to kind of life loves life as a description. So if we want to go a little bit further, it's pretty simple. Biophilia is kind of the interaction of people and then nature. So we talk about plants and water and sunlight, natural materials, natural patterns. And when you have that combination, and what I'm going to show to you is that it helps improve your health and your productivity and your happiness, creativity, and learning. Is anyone familiar? Well, I guess you can't answer me. I don't have a question set up, but just to talk about forest bathing and the familiarity of forest bathing. So forest therapy is a research-based framework for supporting the healing and wellness through immersion in forests and other natural events or environments, sorry. Forest therapy is inspired by a Japanese practice of Shinrin-yoku, which translates to forest bathing. So it's pretty simple, is you just go for a walk in the forest. You immerse yourself in nature. You see, you hear, you feel, you smell your surroundings around you. And you're to do that completely unconnected, which means for some of us, and me being one of them, might be a struggle to leave that cell phone or your Apple Watch at home. So you're completely just on your own in nature. You know, this began in Japan in the 1980s, which is now a cornerstone of preventative healthcare and healing in Japanese medicine. Sorry. The benefits from it are proven to boost your immunity, reduce stress, reduces blood pressure. It could go up to 5% in 1 hour, and it'll improve your mood. I've got a kind of a excerpt from a book called The Nature Fix by Florence William, and it says that to prove that our physiology responds to different habitats, Miyazaki's taken hundreds of research subjects into the woods since 2004. He and his colleague found that leisurely forest walks compared to urban walks delivered a 12% decrease in cortisol levels, but that wasn't all. They recorded a 7% decrease in sympathetic nerve activity, a 1.4% decrease in blood pressure, and a 6% decrease in heart rate. On psychology questionnaires, they also report better moods and lower anxieties. And so increasingly, companies are creating, where possible, or relocating to give employees easy access to natural areas like this. Think about it, work-related stress alone in the US, as this is a US created CEU, is $190 billion in healthcare costs each year. Just gotta wait for my screen to move. Okay, can anyone identify these structures? Apple headquarters, that's correct. Oops, wrong way. So what we have is it's both Apple and Amazon. So on the left, we have Apple's headquarters. You know, Steve Jobs, when designing this, had a plan to have 80% of the property landscape with about 6,000 trees. When it was done, there was actually more like 9,000 trees. In the Amazon spheres or globes, there's 450 different species of plants. It includes waterfalls, a river, a 5-story living wall, and treehouse-like spaces. It's kept at 72 degrees and 60% humidity, which is ideal conditions for both plants and people, at a cost of nearly $300 million. Originally, the site was planned for a 6-story office building, but Amazon wanted a place for their people to feel and think differently. So here's a shameless plug of how I get my forest bathing is I hop on my bike and I just go for a ride. Maybe you do the same. There's a variety of different ways that can be achieved. Here's another important slide, and we're going to kind of get into some of the nitty gritty now, and why we're kind of here, is that there have been thousands of scientific studies reflecting and or proving both physiological and psychological benefits, where they can measure the impact of both improved health, and they can translate these proven measures into financial implications. I'll read you another excerpt from a book called The Healthy Workplace. It's in a report called The Economics of Biophilia. Terrapin Bright Green, an environmental consulting firm, claims over the last quarter century, case studies have documented the advantage of biophilic experience, including improved stress recovery rates, lower blood pressure, improved cognitive function, enhanced mental stamina and focus, decreased violence and criminal activity, elevated moods, and increased learning rates. So some of the improvements that you see are patients' recovery time with biophilic design can be reduced by 9%. Creativity increased by 15%, test scores can be improved by 18%, crime reduced by 7%. And there are studies, as you can see below, that kind of back up all of these figures, and these were kind of the results at some of the studies that they've listed below. And a subset of biophilia is biophilic design. So that's incorporating kind of natural elements into man-made design. So basically you take our cities, buildings, material products, and you combine those with plants and water, wind and air, light, space, materials, and patterns. You know, as technology advanced, we tend to have closed up our buildings so we can control everything with the AC, and we can control the wealth and comfort. And so kind of in this way, progress has not really been our friend. But today's increasing health and wellness movement represents a rollback to how we've been designing our buildings in the past. And so what are these natural elements? You can take a look at these 6 different categories. We've got plants, we've got water, we've got air and temperature, materials and patterns, space and form, light and shadow. You know, we're really good at grids and rectangles because they're efficient, but biophilic design can break these grids down into natural patterns. So next question coming up here. My computer doesn't like it when I talk too long about one particular slide, apparently. So what improvements could be made to these spaces to make them more biophilic? And that should prompt you on your device to throw some answers out there. So different lights and colors, natural materials, live plants, lighting controls, color and patterns. I'm super impressed that you've been listening to me so far. You're getting all the right answers. You know, it's like, you know, things we don't see in this instance is plants and kind of material and pattern, space and form, light and shadow, kind of the points that we were just discussing. You know, the healthcare industry's probably been at it the longest, showing measurable improvements in accelerating patient healing. Plus where stress, fear, and anxiety are an everyday occurrence. So just looking at some of the images above is, you know, sensory and healing gardens are used to reduce stress and anxiety and calm the chemical imbalances in patients. Images of nature, when you can't actually have nature, have shown to reduce healing times by 4 to 5%. And then on the right, you're seeing an image from the Anne and Robert H. Louis Children's Hospital in Chicago, which we're gonna dive into a little bit more here. So this is the Crown Sky Garden within that same hospital. You know, this might as well be a promotional piece for Biophilic design. Here you see lots of glass, so it'll let in natural light and daylight, and it can even make you feel like you are outside. At the edge of the Sky Gardens, we've got some bamboo trees and marble fountains and, you know, views of the city. They're making a big investment. This could have easily just been more patient rooms, but they see the value in kind of bringing nature into their healing process. And then as we'll see in the next slide, is kind of a different example of biophilic design. And that's kind of environmental reference and graphics for wayfinding. And these have been pulled from the Children's Hospital in Seattle. And kind of one of the benefits of this is, you know, it's much better to be able to, well, first of all, they add a calming presence to the environment, but it's so much better to tell a young child that I'm going to take you to the ocean today instead of, hey, we're bringing you over to urgent care. And in this case, as I had mentioned kind of before about the benefits of at least having pictures of nature is the saying that faux nature is better than no nature in an area where you can't bring in natural views to the outside. Sorry for the slowness. So here's some examples of some biophilic spaces and products. You can see some use of some carpet tiles. We've got the Sydney Opera House, the Anasazi Ruins in New Mexico, the High Line of New York City, just some hospital rooms with nature views to them. And so what we're seeing here is we're seeing natural patterns and natural materials. And biophilic design can really be anything and anywhere. Please don't try to read this. I don't need you getting a headache. But basically this simply shows you some of the mounting body of evidence that is used to show the positive effects and benefits of biophilia and biophilic design. You know, if you were to read through some of these studies, you'd learn that morning sunlight reduces the length of hospitalization in bipolar depression. You'd learn about the value of trees and water and open spaces as reflected by housing prices in New Zealand, the physiological effects of forest bathing. In this particular report here, hopefully you can see it, it's called The Economics of Biophilia. 10% of employee absences can be attributed to architecture with no connection to nature. Children progressed through school curricula 20 to 26% faster when learning in day-lit environments. And people will pay about 127% more for a property with a view of water. This particular study, the global impact of biophilic design in the workplace, and yes, I have read both of them, is 33% of all respondents said that the design of an office would affect their decision to work for a company. Natural light is the most sought after element within the workplace, yet globally 47% of offices have no natural light and 50% have no plants. You know, links to employee performances and kind of what some regional solutions are is Australia wants kind of more wood in the office place, in their flooring, in their desks, in their paneling. India, Indonesia, and Germany, they liked the green colors in the office. And Canada has a preference to the greenery of office space as well. Some fun facts about Canada that were in this report is the availability of external green space was linked to greater happiness at work. Also, the color purple was a predictive of employee happiness. Window views to trees were associated with greater levels of creativity, and having live plants in the office was linked to greater levels of productivity among workers. So you can thank me for making your job easier, because all you need to do now is throw in some plants and paint the room purple and we're good to go. So the same body of evidence that we've been discussing is the catalyst of the current health and wellness trend, which is well building. I believe there's at least one well-accredited person on this call. You know, what LEED is to building, well is to the people in the buildings. You know, well considers air and water and nourishment and light, fitness, comfort and mind, which sounds very familiar to kind of the aspects that we've been talking about today. And biophilic design plays a big part in this. This is always a popular slide that I'm showing you right now. And it's a very close to home example that proves that nature's positive effect on humans. It's well documented that indoor plants improve air quality by removing toxins from the air we breathe. So this is a list of 18 of the plants that probably do the best job according to NASA research. And NASA, this was important to NASA because they wanted to make sure that they had greenery in the space station and what have you that will do the best job at removing toxins from the air. I always get asked for a copy of this slide after the fact, and I can make sure that I get that into John Paulo's hands. These are all excellent house plants that you could probably pick up from your local florist, and you don't really need a green thumb. So kind of an interesting slide. I always get a good reaction out of it. So we've kind of established that biophilic design is the theory, the science, and the practice of creating buildings inspired by nature with the aim to continue the individual's connection with nature and the environment in which we live and work every day. So let's now focus on biophilic design within the workplace, and in particular in the office workspace. So what does a biophilic workplace look like? I mean, it can look like a lot of different things. I don't know if you recognize anything that's on the screen here. We have the Harper Memorial Library at the University of Chicago. We have the Frank Lloyd Wright Johnson Waxhead Min Building in Wisconsin. You know, just even a carpet tile with some greenery looks to it, or the combination of carpet and LVT or a laminate to give you some of that natural look. If we look at the Frank Lloyd Wright building, like what you're going to see there is like the inclusion of large plants, a lot of natural patterns. I've had these described as the pillars and the columns in the ceiling structure as a tree canopy or a lily pad or a number of different things that you will find in nature. You don't find a lot of hard edges. And a lot of the color palette are colors that you would find in nature. Okay, here's your next question. What features make this space biophilic? I'm going to kind of push the picture off to the side so we can see the answers that are coming up. Natural light, exposure, plants, outdoor view, living plants. Let me put it back for you if you need to have another look. Greenery, views. Perfect. You guys are doing so well today. Exactly, colors. I was waiting for that one. So, you know, simple layouts with orderly variation, adjustable daylight, views of the nature, colors that matching healing health and vegetation, natural patterns and materials, indoor plants. I feel like you guys nailed that 100%. So is this biophilic workspace? And I've kind of given you the answer because I'm not as tech savvy as I used to think I was. I'll give you the answer, and that's no. So you don't have to throw it in there. And the reason being is it's just way too much. It comes across as chaotic. It's not composed, and it would probably, at least for me, create more stress than anything else. You know, it's green in nature for sure, but our brains perceive a difference here. So it does not create us in the desired result. So in this case, I would say that less is more. And having to strike a balance is the key to good design. You know, the economic case for biophilic workplace centers on productivity. Office productivity is primarily about the workforce, and the workforce is made up of people like you and I. So productivity in the workplace is defined as the number of goods and service produced divided by the cost to produce them. Some primary factors that adversely will affect productivity in the workplace are absenteeism, where the employees are physically not there, presenteeism, where physically they're there, but they're mentally not there or disengaged, and then staff turnover and retention. So, you know, what are the costs associated with this? It's very important to note, because the workforce is made up of people, when it comes to worker productivity, both real and perceived factors will affect this. So how you feel both mentally and physically are a big part of productivity. I want to read you just an excerpt from a study or from a book of The Healthy Workplace again. In 2 studies of office workers, an architect and researcher specializing in the impact of daylighting on human performance found that those with full window views, especially views of nature, performed better on a number of work tasks. One of the studies, conducted in a call center, found that workers with window views performed 6 to 7% faster and were able to handle more calls than those without window views. In her second study, a field experiment, she found a positive correlation between window views and computerized memory and attention tasks. Furthermore, the quality of the view mattered. So those with a full high quality view of natural vegetation performed 10 to 25% better on these tasks than those with a limited or artificial view. So another example of importance of daylight and views is a study of an office building in the University of Oregon. 30% of office space in the building overlooked trees and manicured landscape. 31% of the office space overlooked a street, building, and parking lot, and 39% of the offices were on the interior of the building and had no outside view at all. Occupants with the views of trees and landscapes took an average of 57 hours of sick leave per year, compared to 68 hours per year of sick leave taken by employees with no view. Okay, I'm going to break down this next slide for you so it doesn't look too overwhelming. But basically, this human space report is a really good one to go through. And basically what it talks about is they had two different workplaces. One where they had a green space as you entered the building, and one where they had no green space as you entered the building. And then they polled their staff and found out that if there was an internal green space in the lobby of a building or in the foyer of an office as you're walking in, the employees had more positive feelings than if there weren't. So 15% felt happy, 32% felt inspired with that green space, 9% reported happy, 18% reported inspired with no green space. And then measured negative feelings as well and polled them. When you're walking into your workspace with a green space, 2% reported being anxious, 5% bored, whereas no green space, no green space, 5% were anxious and 11% were bored. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. You know, the researcher just asked some simple questions about their perception as they enter the workplace with green space and without. You know, people had more positive feelings overall when entering a workspace with green space, and less negative feelings So more positive, less negative feelings when they had greenery in their workspace. We're going to dive a little bit into this study, and it was one of the ones that I held up earlier. And actually, it was the relative benefits of green versus lean office space. And there were 3 field experiments. One, they did a study of some hoteling, so a pre and post survey. 2 was for a call center. And then 3, they did study on analytical tasks. And research conducted side-by-side experiments with 2 different environments. So 1, there was the green office, and 1, there was the lean office. And what they found is in a green versus lean office, when you have greenery in the office space, measured productivity was up 6 to 15%. Perceived air quality was 5 to 10%, perceived concentration, and perceived satisfaction. And I talked earlier about the difference between actual and perceived, and how important how important perception is to a worker and their productivity, even though it may not prove that there's 5 to 10% better air quality. The perception of that will increase the worker's productivity. So how can we kind of relate these benefits to workplace value proposition? So if you want to look at a service-oriented business, such as a design firm or such as a rep group, so kind of both of us here, I would say that, well, I've actually done the math after I started doing the CEU, and it's pretty much bang on. 90% of my costs are related to staff salary and benefits. And that's pretty standard in a service-oriented business. So when you're looking at 90% of your costs are your employees, 9% is your space rental, and 1% of your energy. 90% of that is the people part, meaning a 5% efficiency improvement will yield an exponentially larger result here if working on the productivity of your people than me trying to negotiate a better lease on my space here. Not to mention, as we saw in a previous slide, that increasing the biophilic design in office space will lead to 6% productivity, 6 to 15% an increase of productivity. So if you want to look at a firm that maybe has 20 million in annual revenue, and you can increase their productivity by 6%, you've now grown the efficiency, you've now grown the bottom line by 1.2 million. So there is big potential in biophilic design, given the proven and positive effects on people in any possible way you want to test and measure it. There is, like I said, a variety of different studies that back up pretty much everything that I have been talking about today. So now let's look at what can we do with this? What are some of the practical strategies forward for us? You know, if we look here and break down the 6 different categories, there's a number of different strategies for new spaces or major retrofits. You know, access to terraces or indoor-outdoor spaces, access to outside air, wind via operable windows or doors, materials and spaces with soft edges, exhibiting some variation, spaces shaped to allow the sense of mystery when moving through. So all some ideas here of how to implement in the space. Now, you know, what if you don't have a major project going on, or there's some little things that we can do? And it's like, for sure, you know, just adding plants and trees into the inside or outside of the building. Non-repetitive workspace layouts exhibiting orderly variation. Color matching healthy vegetation, blue, green, yellow, and white. So, you know, there are 15 kind of strategies you can still consider at a lower cost, at faster action, at more easily implementable. So kind of to boil that down a little further, here are kind of 5 of the top practical strategies that we can have, or can kind of give you more bang for your buck. You know, small plants, big plants, natural color tones within the office, daylight variability, and natural texture and pattern. So if you're still interested at this point, what are some of the next steps that you can take? I would recommend, and I found a lot of these just by Googling biophilic design or biophilia, is just go online and a lot of these studies will pop up. And so really just try to learn about it and learn about the science behind it. I won't tell you that it's the most entertaining read that you'll have, because it's definitely not. But it's very informative for sure. You know, read the well building standard, read the economics of biophilia, which I believe is, you know, this one here. Oh, we've got it on the bottom left here. You can just Google these and kind of see. You will find quite a bit, I promise you. And you know, the next thing that you can do is you can try it. You go for a walk in the forest, go do forest bathing, completely unconnect yourself and just take a time out in nature. That's probably one of the most immediate and helpful things that you can do. So who can leverage from these benefits? Interior designers, architects, urban planners, you know, product companies whose brand identity could benefit from effective communicating the economic, health, and productivity benefits that their products themselves apart. You know, anybody, think about these concepts for you, for your friends, for your family, whether it's your work or where you live or what have you. You know, we're all human, we're all wired with the need for nature and awaiting the many benefits that it can bring us. So just to kind of review some of our learning objectives, we went over some of the basic concepts of biophilia and biophilic design. I showed you some of the growing body of science-based evidence. We talked a little bit about how to develop a financial return and return on investment, and then just some practical strategies. So I do hope that I accomplished this for you today. At least it was a start. So I do want to kind of thank you for joining the CEU. This is the official end of the CEU. So now comes the part where I get into why it's important to us and why we're connected with it. And I also have Colleen Sloboda on the call here with me, who handles a lot of the architect and design community for Infocus. Her main role is calling on architects and designers. And the Magnuson Group, which was the co-sponsor with MIST of this CEU, is a fourth generation family-owned business. I like to refer to Magnuson, if you haven't heard of it already, I like to refer to it as the company that makes everything that you don't know where to find anywhere else. I would say we started off in the mid 50s, I think. They're based in Chicago. They started off manufacturing coat hooks, coat trees, and coat racks. Today, our largest category would be indoor-outdoor waste receptacles, but our fastest growing category for sure is our planters. So we deal with a lot of different planters, predominantly indoor. Cascade would be one of the more popular ones that we have for sure, and the ones that we seem to move the best. These are all a painted steel product. Like I said, for indoor use, we've got a variety of different shapes and sizes that'll allow you to use that to, create space division, just create different sorts of designs, especially these days with space division being so important and kind of over the last couple of years being at the forefront. It's a great product to do that with. Comes in a variety of different textures and colors. So that'll just show you an example of some of our Cascade product being used as space division and just some of the different designs that you can do with it, both in rectangular shape or parallelograms, which you probably haven't heard that word since high school. And then finally, I will say this is a picture of our showroom at NeoCon. We will be showing at NeoCon this year, and glad to be back. Colleen and I will both be there. At the very beginning, I had my email address in there, but I would ask if there's anybody on the call that is planning to attend NeoCon, please feel free to reach out. Colleen and I would love to kind of make an appointment with you and go through some of our products there. We've got honestly I've got 6 different showrooms in the Mart, and then Colleen and I are also part of the Tarkett team as well. So Tarkett Flooring, there's 4 of us locally that are representing that product, and we work as a team. Tarkett just opened a new showroom out in Fulton Market, where Technion is, and some of the other big guys bigger companies have moved to. So please feel free to reach out and set an appointment with us if you're going to be there. We would love to have you. And if I'm not mistaken, if my computer wants to, oh no, I do have a couple more pictures here, just showing some more greenery. So this would be one of our cloud planter. This is our Circle. Circle does both waste receptacle and planter, so you have the exact same look in either recycling or waste or planter. We have some brochure holders called DeCapo. Oh, I don't show it on this one, but they're kind of wall hung plastic on a rail where we would keep, and we use it a lot in healthcare facilities where you have brochures and stuff. But we've also seen that used as kind of a wall mounted planter. So yeah, Gianpaolo, that's it. Thank you very much. I'm here to take questions. I hope I can answer them, but if I can't, I can definitely get something out to you. So Thank you. Thanks for your time and much appreciated.
Well, thank you so much for the presentation. A fascinating topic, always learning more about that, and a hot topic. If anyone has any questions, please put them in the chat. I actually wanted to ask you something that came up as you were going through your presentation. And that was specifically, you're kind of showing the statistics around productivity and productivity gains and improvement. Maybe a little bit more granular than that, but related to it. Are there any measurements on how biophilic design impacts people's creativity, innovation, problem solving in a work environment?
A lot of
Are you aware?
A lot of it. What I find interesting in learning and being trained for this, and doing a little bit of, I'll say, research, is reading some of the studies, is how much of a factor the perceived values were over actual values. And I think anytime your emotions come into it and you're feeling less anxious or feeling more energetic, I think that's always going to, and again, like I said in the beginning, I'm not an expert, just an advocate. I think just having a more of a clear mindset and emotional response would surely make you more creative, in my opinion, in my uneducated opinion.
Yeah. You were, just going back to the non-CEU related, but the products you showed. I noticed when you showed the Magnuson planters, they all had plants in them, of course, because that's what you want to show. I know it's not ideal, but I know there are cases when people want to use artificial plants. Does Magnuson offer these planters with artificial plants in them? Or is that something that we would need to purchase somewhere else?
Yeah, currently, no, they don't. We supply the planters, we supply the liners that go in them. Most of the liners are like 12 inches deep. So if you're looking at the 36-inch high planter, I'm looking at one right now. It's 12 inches deep of a liner that's a suspended liner, and then the bottom is empty. We do supply sandbags though with the taller products, like empty sandbags, so that you could weigh them down, depending on what you're going to put in the planter itself, so it's not going to get tipped over. I'm quickly scrolling through to see here if there's questions. I think the only other question was about the number, and others have answered it. So
yes, that's correct. Yeah. But thanks for clarifying with the planters, because I think we sometimes think you just get a big planter, but there is obviously a little bit more to it than just a big pot or a jar. Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. I don't see any other questions. If anyone is brave enough and shout out a question, we always welcome that as well. But you said you would be sending us the slide, right? That one slide of the plants that people could they could use indoors for air purification.
Yep.
Removing toxins. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
The slide that you showed with the other one you showed with the ideas, things you can do immediately, or maybe that requires some more investment. That was also a really great slide. Is that something you could share with us?
Yep. I can't obviously I can't send the whole presentation, but and something that I forgot to mention, which I usually do in the beginning, too late now, hopefully people still took advantage of it, is anytime I sit through a presentation and I see something that I know I'm going to need later, I just snap a picture of it. So hopefully you went and did that and took pictures of anything that stuck out for you. But I can definitely send the one on the plants, and I can send the one on the kind of the ideas and concepts.
Excellent. And I do see a question just did pop up. So do you have any info on the optimal amount of live plants, either by area or density?
I do not have that info. I can definitely ask for it.
Okay. I know within the well guidelines, there are some loose suggestions. I know also in well, for instance, with water features, if you get over to a certain size building, they start to tell you what kind of water features you should have, and then it becomes very detailed on how big that would need to be. So there are some of these guidelines available in well, although I don't think it gives you a ratio for plants in well. Are there any studies related to animals in the workplace? And would that be considered part of biophilic design?
Well, it's nature, isn't it? You know what? I haven't seen anything on that. I think that's maybe a whole secondary topic. I can kind of scroll through the, that one slide that we had that had, I think, 76 different studies. I can browse through there and see if there was anything that I can find there that addressed that. But yeah.
I think we all love coming to an office and seeing animals. I do know, though, that some people are allergic, right? So
Yeah.
As much as I think most of them would love it, are always those people that just simply can't handle it. All right.
Awesome.
Excellent. Well, I think that was it for the questions. So thank you very much. This was the end of our webinar today. As I mentioned earlier, we are tentatively looking at another webinar on the 16th, and we will notify everybody of that, or just check our website at chaseoffice.ca. And we will be sending out a survey, as we always do, and just love everybody to respond to that so we can learn more of the topics that interest you for planning of future webinars and to make this a better experience every single time. Thanks so much, Greg and Colleen, of course, for setting this up for us and for the team. Really appreciate it. And if people don't know how to reach Greg or Colleen, they can also always come to us at Chase, and we'll be more than happy to connect with you.
Quickly, I say it's easy, but it's still long. It's just Greg at infocusinteriorsgroup.ca, interiors with an S, group.ca. And then it's Colleen at infocusinteriorsgroup.ca. Colleen has one L, so don't make that mistake. And that's it. That's how you can kind of the easiest way to reach out to us.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great. Well, thank you very much.